Good afternoon. We'll start today Isaiah chapter 43. And it starts this way. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. That's wonderful, isn't it? Oh, I wanted to tell you. Remember I said I didn't know where there was any other place where he called himself God the Lord. Remember back in chapter 42 and verse 5? I said, I don't know if there's any other place in the Word. Well, the very next day I was reading Psalm 68 and verse 20, and says, Unto God the Lord belong the issues from death. So there's another place. There might be others. I don't know. But he did call himself God the Lord there. So I wanted to remember to tell you that. But here, but now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not. For I have redeemed thee, I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. So God is claiming, establishing his claim on Jacob and Israel. It's his people. They are still his people. And when he says, fear not, for I have redeemed thee, redeemed means bought back. I know one of the most horrible sins or crimes there is in America is kidnapping. People have to pay the same price for kidnapping as they do murder. The death penalty for kidnapping. But kidnapping is when you steal somebody and you say, you've got to pay me so much money or you can't have them back. And then whoever their family is, whoever loves them, if they can't find them and they can't do anything about it, they try to get up enough money to get them back, redeem them, buy them back. And all of us are sold out to sin. And the devil thinks he owns us because he gets us to do wrong, and we do wrong, and then we're separated from God. So we're taken away by the devil or by our own selves sinning. But God said, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. Now, are the Jews redeemed right now? Mostly not, because they do not believe in Jesus, and he's our Redeemer. He is our Redeemer. If you go into Job, let's go back to Job. And this Bible was written as a testament from the Jews. The Old Testament is from the Jews. And Job was one of them. I don't know when he lived. I don't know if he lived before there was such a thing as Jews. I don't know. But when he wrote this book, when this book was written, he said this. Verse 25 of chapter 19 in Job. He said, we'll start in verse 23. Oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book. Are they? Yes. That they were graven with an iron pen and lead in the rock forever. What? Yes, they are. Forever. O Lord, thy word is established, settled in heaven. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. So he got his desire. But listen to what he said in verse 25. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God. So he said, I know that my Redeemer liveth. The person that has bought me back lives. And sure enough, when Job was alive, he was alive. And when Isaiah spoke these words, he was alive. The Redeemer was alive. And then when we go over more than 700 years, around 700 years, our Redeemer, before or after that, he's paying the price for our redemption. He's buying us back. He's shedding his blood on the cross. And the Lord can speak, for I have redeemed thee. I sent my Son to buy you back. And God worked with the Jews, and is still working with the Jews, because they are what he calls mine. For I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. I like to have that name, God's, for him to say, thou art mine. And I believe I do, because I look over in Romans chapter 11, and read in here about us Gentiles. He said, for if the casting away of them, or the Jews, be the reconciling of the world, or us Gentiles, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So Jesus, of course, is the first fruit. He is. It's holy. He's holy. Where he came from is holy. The lump and the root, the branches, they're holy. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold therefore the goodness and severity of God. On them which fail severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and wert grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? So God is looking forward to and working at it all the time to get his branches back on that natural olive tree, the Jews. And he said, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. And since I'm grafted into that olive tree, I'm his too. And so are you. That's your name. You're God's. Thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. Sometimes I feel like I'm passing through the waters. He said, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burnt, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. You know, we saw the 3 Hebrew children. They were walking through the fire. It didn't kindle upon them. Didn't even get the smell of smoke on them. And when they passed through the waters, when the Jews passed through the waters, they did, but it was parted. It was like jello on both sides of them. They went through it and they didn't overflow them. Verse 3 says, for I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life. So God has watched over and protected Israel always. Even during the Holocaust, he was protecting his people. Yes? Because all the Jews that are born Jews, they're not his people. Every one of them. I mean, there's... trying to think of where Paul said that. He said it. But what I want you to realize is there's people in every nation. The Jews are a holy nation, but all the Jews are not holy. They do not love God or believe in him. Many of them are atheists. I hate to say it, but they are. But God tells his people, I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee. So he is saying, I've given up people to preserve you. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life. One the person that he gave was his son for their life. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. It happened, didn't it? It happened. God drew Israel back to their land from the north, the south, the east, and the west to come make a new nation in 1948. Make a new nation. And he did gather them. He told the north to give them up, to the south to keep them not back. You know, he brought them from the east and gathered them from the west. He said, bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Even every one that is called by my name. For I have created him for my glory. I have formed him. Yea, I have made him. I have created him for my glory. Did you know that there is what's called anti-Semitism in this world? People hate the Jews. But then there are us that love the Jews and appreciate them. I do. I appreciate having this Bible. And I would not have had it if it hadn't been for the Jews. I appreciate them. I appreciate what they've done to help us. I appreciate that wonderful Jesus Christ coming through. I read that in Romans 14, didn't I? Let's go back there and look at that real quick. I mean Romans 11, not 14. I always think it's 14. He said, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump also is holy, and if the root be holy, so are the branches. Jesus is the first fruit, and he is holy. And where he came from was the Jews. And I am thankful for them, and I love them. I'm not ashamed of loving them either. God loves them, and who he loves, I'm going to love. That's what he told us to do. He told us to love our neighbor as ourselves, and love our brothers in the Lord, and love our enemies. I mean, it sounds like he's wanting us to love everybody. Okay? So, he told them to fear not. He told his people to fear not. He said, I'm bringing my sons from far, my daughters from the ends of the earth, even every one that is called by my name. For I have created him for my glory. I have formed him. Yea, I have made him. We are blessed. We are in a world where there is such a thing as the Jews. Them and being in existence tells us this word is absolutely true. We are not atheists, and a lot of the reasons we're not atheists is because of the Jews, because of their existence. God has proven himself so faithful to them. when they haven't been faithful to him. But he's proven himself faithful to us, and we're trying to be faithful to him. So the Gentiles are all of those that had to be grafted in. All of us believers that had to be grafted in. And once we were grafted in, we fit into this paragraph that's telling us that we are called by his name. We are called by him. We are part of him. We are precious in his sight. He has formed us. Thank God for that. I'll see you tomorrow then, Lord willing. God bless you.